So in this quick video, I'm going to be showing you what is meant by a reference cell. And if you don't know what that means, you absolutely need to watch this video because you may be operating and not utilizing a super efficient part of Excel. So let's get into it. And the concept is very simple and it has less simple applications. So let's start with it. For instance, if I wanted to calculate the hourly rate, and let's say I knew that that's the number of hours in a year. So what this is going to be equal to is going to be equal to this person earns $210 for the year, and I can divide that by the amount of hours in the year. So entering this formula is one way to achieve what this person's hourly rate is of $96.25. Okay, and if we had to do that for all of these, then I would end up spending forever doing that. Now let's look at how you can use cell references. So instead of telling Excel that is $210, you will say it's equal to, you click on this cell, so you're saying to Excel, whatever is in this cell, which is the value D2 or the cell D2, I want you to divide that by whatever is in this cell, which is 2080. Hit enter. So what will happen now is click on this cell, you will see, and double click, you will see Excel is referencing the cell to the left, which is D2, and 1, 2, 3 cells over and 1 cell up, which is H1. So it's dividing D2's entry by H1, getting the same figure. And the power of this is I'm getting the same result. So what's the difference? If this were to change, or if this rate were to, if this number of hours were to change to say 4,000, once I change this, it will automatically update this because it's referencing H1, whereas here it's not referencing that, so it will not change. So that's a part of the power of that. Now another thing we want to do, and I'm going to do it in a way that's going to give an error. If I were to copy this formula down here, what happens here, Excel is still referencing the one to the left, which is the salary. So for this new salary, I want it to divide this new salary by the number of hours, which is still in this box H1, but it increments not only the D2 to D3, increments the H1 to H2, and if I copy this down, it increments the D3 to D4 and the H2 to H3. So it increments all the entries. Now we don't want that to happen. We want it to always reference H1. So when we have H1, so we go equal this divided by H1. When you have H1 selected, if you hit the F4 key, it puts dollar signs around the H1, which means it locks it. So look at the difference now. When I copy this down, what this does, it increments the D2 to D3, but the reference to H1 is locked, so it does not change when you copy that formula down. And therefore it means that once I have set up that correctly, I can simply drag this formula down, because Excel will increment down to D11. So it's doing this, but it will always reference back H1. Here, it's incrementing down to D14. So it's grabbing this salary and dividing it by that range. That's a super powerful concept. Now another real quick demonstration of this. I want to count how many, the keys for race is here. I want to count how many number ones we have. So I'm going to use a count if function. The range in which I'm going to count is going to be this range. So once I highlight this, But I know that the range is going to be the same range I'm going to be counting for the others. So I want to lock this reference. I don't want this to change when I copy my formula. So I hit F4. The criteria that I'm counting in the first instance is this. You could type the number 1, but you're better off using references, telling Excel to search for any entry similar to what is there. You close your bracket. So what this number 6 is saying is that Excel is counting for entries similar to E31, which is this cell here in this range, F2 to F23. So within this range is counting how many times this number appears. So if I copy this formula down, what this becomes, it remains, the range remains the same because I have those locked. That's a locked reference. But this is not a locked reference, so it increments from E31 and then it now counts E32. So it's giving me a different result in this line. If I drag this down, it's going to go to E33, which is going to be the number of 3s. And then if I go down, it gives me the number of 4s. So that's a quick and easy way to use cell referencing instead of physically typing what you're asking Excel to search for, and making sure that your target range is locked. You see what is blue here? I want it to always count that for all 4, so that's locked. Whereas what's green is not locked because I want to be able to copy this formula down and have Excel count. In this case, the number of 1s, in this case, the number of 2s, in this case, the number of 3s, and so on. All right? Hope this is helpful. Thanks.